Okay, imagine just for a moment that a brand new car, from the very first concept idea to the moment it's actually in a dealership ready for you to drive, takes literally half the time it used to. Now, this isn't some futuristic sci-fi thing. It's actually the reality that's unfolding right now in the automotive industry. And, well, it's completely reshaping what we expect from cars. So today we're doing a deep dive into this whole fascinating world of accelerated automotive product development. We've got some really compelling research here. There's an August 2025 article from McKinsey, plus some of your own notes and a glossary to help us out. We really want to understand how this speed revolution is happening, why it's suddenly so critical and what it really means for all the cars on the road and maybe even the next one in your garage.
It really is quite remarkable, isn't it, how quickly the whole global automotive scene has changed. I mean, this is such a classic case of disruption. You've got these new players coming in, setting this incredibly fast pace. And frankly, a lot of the established companies, your traditional automakers, they're really struggling to keep up. And it raises a really big question. Can these legacy companies actually adapt fast enough? Or, are they genuinely risking being left behind?
And the real engine behind all this speed, as our sources really make clear, it's China. We all hear about China's huge market, right?
Okay.
But get this. It's not just big. It's the world's largest, it's the fastest growing, and honestly the most competitive automotive market out there. The number of vehicles over there more than doubled in just the last 10 years.
Okay.
We're talking over 350 million by 2024.
Oh, it's an astonishing scale.
Just huge numbers.
And then you look at electric vehicles, EVs, the shift there is, well, it's profound. Our research shows the EV market share in China just exploded. It went from only about 1% back in 2015 to an incredible 46% by 2024.
36%. Yeah. That's nearly a 50-fold jump in less than a decade. It's completely changing what people want and what companies are building.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really striking is that this crazy growth, it's overwhelmingly driven by the domestic Chinese brands. They now actually outnumber the joint ventures, the ones with overseas companies, by something like 2-to-1. So it's a super intense competitive environment. And guess what's become the #1 advantage in this race? It's not just about features anymore, or even cost, really. It's pure speed. Speed in getting products out.
Yeah, and if we kind of zoom out and look at the bigger picture globally, the numbers really tell the story quite vividly. These new, mostly EV-focused automakers in China, they're taking brand new electric models from the initial idea, the concept, all the way to a full market launch in roughly 24 months.
24 months?
2 years. Just think about that time frame for a second. 2 years. Now, compare that with a lot of the established car companies elsewhere. Their lead times, often stretching to 40, maybe 50 months. Sometimes even longer. So they've literally cut the time to market in half. They're doing what seemed pretty much impossible not that long ago.
Wow.
And it's not like they're just keeping this within China either. We're already seeing some really influential players like BYD, for example, building vehicle assembly plants in key spots around the world. Hungary, Indonesia, Turkey. I mean, this isn't just about dominating their home market. It signals a very clear, pretty aggressive global expansion plan. They're set to reshape the whole worldwide car map.
So, okay, this amazing speed.
Yeah.
What does it actually mean for these companies that are moving so fast? And maybe more importantly, what's in it for drivers like us? Well, for you, the consumer, it means you get a constant stream of new tech and features that are genuinely first to market. Think about, I don't know, a new battery tech that charges twice as fast maybe, or some AI safety system that learns how you drive. This stuff is hitting the market years earlier than it might have otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Cutting edge stuff. Much sooner.
Exactly. You get it before the traditional guys have even finalized their designs, maybe. But it's not just about exciting new gadgets. Using your development resources this efficiently, well, it also really helps keep the actual product development costs down. And that is absolutely critical right now. The competition is just fierce. It's squeezing profit margins, even while we as consumers are kind of demanding more and more features for less money every time a new model comes out.
And that's a key point. The shift in speed and efficiency, it doesn't just lead to better products. It's directly hitting the bottom line and fundamentally changing how investors see these companies. If you look back over the past decade, these innovative EV OEMs, that's original equipment manufacturers, basically the big car companies like China's BYD and Geely and, Western disruptors like Tesla, their market caps, they've grown more than 4 times over. And what's maybe even more impressive, 4 Chinese companies, BYD, Leap, Li Auto, and Series, they've actually done something many others are still struggling with. They've made their EV businesses profitable. actually making money on electric cars.
Ah, okay, that's huge.
It really is. And you compare that to, say, the 10 largest traditional OEMs, if you exclude BYD and Tesla from that group. They've seen pretty minimal increases in market cap on average. Just to give you a clearer picture, BYD's total shareholder return, that TSR figure, which includes stock price growth and dividends, the whole package for shareholders, theirs grew by over 550 percentage points.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, other big legacy OEMs, they average less than a third of that, about 153 percentage points. So the message is pretty stark, right? Investors can see where the future value is being created and, well, they're putting their money there.
Okay, right. This is obviously incredibly impactful.
Yeah.
But the massive question is still, how? How are they actually pulling this off? Because it can't just be about working harder, right? There has to be more to it. It sounds like they're strategically rethinking, well, everything.
Exactly. It's about working smarter, not just harder. Our sources lay out 6 key levers. That's the term they use that these companies are pulling to get this incredible speed and cost efficiency.
Levers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we should probably dig into each one, because this is where you really see the practical insights, the aha moments, I think, whether you're looking to buy a car soon or just fascinated by how industries change.
Definitely. Let's do it. What's the first lever?
Okay, first up is product and component portfolio optimization. Basically, complexity is the absolute enemy of speed in product development. It just slows everything down. So these fast companies, they've deliberately chosen smaller, much more focused product lines. Often they specialize only in battery electric vehicles, BEVs. And BEVs, well, they inherently have fewer moving parts, fewer components than traditional combustion engine cars. That alone makes the development cycle simpler and faster to manage.
Right. Less stuff to design and test. And I guess that goes right down to the basics, like the actual parts.
Absolutely. They put a huge emphasis on standard components and modular designs. Think of it almost like a sophisticated Lego system for cars. You can swap out key functional blocks or components without needing to redesign the whole car or do tons of new testing. And this modular approach, it also lets them reuse parts much more easily, especially digital bits and the stuff you don't even see, wiring, internal brackets, things like that. It cuts out a lot of redundant design work.
Okay, that makes sense. What's next?
The next one is smart and efficient testing and development. And honestly, this is a huge time saver, a massive leap.
How so?
Well, think about traditional car testing. Physical prototypes, driving them around test tracks, crash tests. It takes ages, needs huge facilities, and costs an absolute fortune.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But these Chinese OEMs, they're flipping that script. They're using software simulation and virtual prototypes for something like 65% of their testing.
65%. Wow. Compared to what?
Compared to maybe 40, 50% in other regions. So it's a really significant digital advantage they've built.
Okay.
And it gets even more efficient. About 3/4 of those virtual tests are highly automated. So that speeds things up even more, reduces human error too. By maximizing this virtual testing, you can literally cut the number of physical prototypes you need to build in half, sometimes more.
Which must save incredible amounts of time and money.
Exactly. It dramatically shrinks that whole engineering, tooling, and testing phase you see in development timelines. The savings just cascade through the whole project.
Okay, lever number 3.
Right. Number 3 is decoupling software and hardware. Now, managing the software in modern cars, which is incredibly complex, is a huge challenge for everyone. But players like Tesla and these Chinese OEMs, they've actually turned it into a major competitive edge. They've developed these centralized electronic architectures. This lets them do their software development largely in-house, and crucially, it's decoupled from the hardware development cycle.
What does that mean, decoupled?
It means the software teams aren't constantly stuck waiting for the physical car parts, the hardware, to be ready before they can really develop and test their code. They can work in parallel much more effectively.
Oh, okay. And that's huge for us as drivers, right? Because that enables...
Over-the-air updates. OTA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, like your phone gets updates.
Precisely. They can fix bugs remotely. They can introduce totally new features, even improve performance after the car is already sitting in your driveway.
That's a game changer.
It really is. And from a development perspective, it dramatically shortens the time needed before the start of production, what they call pre-SOP. They can focus early on on just the absolutely critical software needed for safety, certification, getting regulatory approval, that's called homologation. They know they can add and iterate on other features later via OTA updates.
Okay, very clever. What's lever 4? Let's talk optimized tooling.
Yes, tooling.
Yeah.
This is often a massive bottleneck.
Cooling being, like molds and dies.
Exactly. The specialized equipment needed to actually manufacture every single part of the car. Traditionally, getting this designed, built, and tested takes a long, long time. But these companies are tackling it directly. They use really efficient digital modeling and virtual testing of the manufacturing process itself. This lets them actually start producing the real tooling much, much earlier in the design cycle.
Even before the designs are totally frozen.
Sometimes, yes. They manage the risk, but starting in parallel like that shaves off crucial months from the timeline.
And you also mentioned something called soft tooling.
Right. This is another smart tactic. Instead of immediately committing to expensive, hard steel molds, which take ages to make, they use other materials, often polymers, to create soft tools. These are especially useful for making the lower volume parts needed just for early testing and prototypes. They're significantly faster and cheaper to produce than the final metal tooling, so it lets them accelerate that design freeze phase, allows for quicker iterations if changes are needed, all without huge costs or delays. It's about being agile even in manufacturing setup.
Makes sense. Agile manufacturing. Okay, number 5.
Lever 5 is robust vertical integration and supply strategy. This is about controlling the supply chain. Many of these fast Chinese automakers keep a larger share of the critical component production in-house. We're talking high-value stuff like the battery pack assembly, electric motors, e-axles.
So they build more of the key parts themselves.
Often, yes. This vertical integration gives them much greater control over the design and how everything fits together. It saves a lot of time they'd otherwise spend just selecting, coordinating with, and managing external suppliers. And crucially, it also makes it easier to reuse those core components across different car models, which again, cuts development time and costs.
Okay, but they must still buy some parts from outside, right?
Oh, absolutely. No one makes everything, but for the parts they do buy externally, they're just as strategic and rigorous about it. They build really strong collaborative partnerships with their key suppliers. Often they start joint development work much earlier in the process than traditional OEMs might.
So bringing suppliers in sooner.
Exactly. And they implement really robust quality management systems with those suppliers to catch problems before they can derail the project timeline. So it's kind of a smart dual approach. Keep tight control in-house for the really core strategic technologies, but then build highly efficient integrated partnerships for everything else.
Control and collaboration. Got it. Okay, the final lever, number 6.
Finally, number 6, execution rigor. At the end of the day, it all comes down to how they actually manage the whole process, how they run the show.
Right. The project management side?
Precisely. These top companies use incredibly lean governance structures. Imagine maybe just a small group, 4 or 5 key executives, meeting several times a week. Quick focus, stand-up meetings, making critical decisions right there on the spot.
Not endless committees and approval chains.
Exactly. That agility lets them pivot quickly, make decisions about vehicle positioning, design requirements, whatever is needed in almost real time. It avoids all the bureaucratic delays that can really bog down bigger, older organizations.
Okay.
And crucially, they're really leaning into advanced tech-enabled tools for project management itself. These aren't just spreadsheets or basic tracking software. These are new systems using advanced analytics, even generative AI, Gen AI, to create a clear, near real-time picture of exactly where the project stands.
So more than just deadline reminders.
Much more. These tools proactively flag potential risks. They anticipate delays based on the data. They monitor progress daily against both the schedule and the budget targets. It's truly smart, data-driven execution. It transforms project management from being reactive, just chasing problems, into something much more predictive and proactive.
Wow. Okay. So those 6 levers together. Portfolio optimization, smart testing, decoupling software, faster tooling, vertical integration plus supplier strategy, and this rigorous execution. That's how they're doing it.
That's the core of it, yes. A combination of strategic choices and leveraging technology.
So, I mean, on the surface, this speed just sounds incredible. Faster cars, cool new features, software updates. It feels like pure progress, right? But I have to assume, this kind of breakneck pace, it must come with some risks, some hidden costs or trade-offs. Our sources definitely mention that, right? That speed brings life cycle risks.
That's a really, really important point to bring up, yes. While the speed offers huge benefits, there's definitely a flip side, a potential downside to consider.
Okay.
Especially when you think about the long-term value and sustainability of the vehicles themselves. See, traditionally, legacy manufacturers, they'd often produce variations of the same basic car model for, say, 7 to 10 years. Sometimes longer.
Right. You'd see the same model shape for years, maybe with a minor facelift.
Exactly. And that long production run gave them plenty of time. Time to stabilize the manufacturing process, smooth out the supply chain, and really importantly, amortize or spread out the huge upfront costs of all that tooling and factory setup over a much larger number of cars sold.
Okay, spreading the cost makes sense.
But now we're moving towards an automotive market where customers are starting to expect, or at least being offered, brand new models maybe every 2 to 5 years.
Much faster churn.
Immense pressure. It puts unprecedented pressure on these OEMs and their entire supply chain. They constantly have to streamline production even further, maximize component reuse even more, just to stay profitable with these much shorter product cycles.
And that raises questions, I guess.
It does. It raises questions about long-term quality, about durability, about the environmental impact of producing and scrapping cars much faster. These are pressures that just weren't as intense in the old model.
Something to watch.
Yes.
Okay, so bringing it back to the practicalities, for anyone listening who might be working at a traditional car company or maybe just invested in one or even just thinking about the future of driving, what are the absolute key takeaways here? How can these established players realistically adapt? How can they compete in this faster, leaner world without, just burning everyone out or sacrificing quality?
Well, the research points towards some pretty clear, decisive actions that legacy players really need to embrace. It's not easy, but it seems necessary. First, they absolutely have to streamline and focus their own product and component portfolios, just like the new EV guys have done. That means actively cutting complexity, reducing the number of variants for each model, and pushing much harder for standardization across their different vehicle lines. That simplifies the whole development pipeline from the start.
Okay, simplify the lineup. What else?
Second, fully embracing digital technologies isn't really optional anymore. It's table stakes for survival now. That means investing heavily in simulation, developing virtual prototypes for most of the testing, and really leveraging AI-enabled tools to speed up every single phase of development and testing. Shifting from mostly physical to mostly virtual testing is key.
Right. Get digital.
Third, they probably need that dual strategy for their supply chain that we talked about. So strategically pursuing vertical integration where it makes sense bringing key technologies in-house, but also building those genuinely collaborative early partnerships with external suppliers when outsourcing is the better path. It's about smart control combined with integrated efficiency.
Not just one or the other.
Exactly. And finally, a relentless, nonstop focus on rigorous AI-enabled project execution. This includes putting in place those lean governance structures we mentioned, the ones that allow for quick, agile decision-making, and critically, using advanced analytics and Gen AI for real-time project insights and proactive risk management, moving way beyond old-school project tracking.
Okay, so streamline, digitize, optimize the supply chain, and execute with rigor using new tech. That sounds like the roadmap.
That seems to be the consensus from the analysis, yes.
Well, we've certainly seen today how these new market entrants, especially out of China, have just fundamentally changed the game in car development, literally cutting the time to market in half. It's really a powerful testament to innovation, isn't it? And strategic thinking and just the sheer power of digital tools when you apply them with real focus and determination. For you listening, it definitely points towards a future where car features and designs evolve much more rapidly, often through software updates like we discussed. But it also signals this really profound shift in the competitive landscape. It's going to determine who really stays ahead on the road and which companies might struggle to keep up with this new pace. The whole race for speed is truly changing everything.
It really is. And this whole discussion, it kind of raises a bigger, maybe more philosophical question for all of us to think about, doesn't it? As technology enables these ever faster product cycles, not just in cars, but across so many industries, are we, as consumers, truly benefiting from this constant newness, this rapid iteration? Or could it be creating some kind of hidden pressure, maybe on long-term quality, on sustainability, perhaps on the real lasting value of the things we buy? Pressures that maybe we haven't fully grasped or accounted for yet. Just something for you to maybe blow over as the automotive world and maybe everything else continues to accelerate at this, well, pretty dizzying pace.